number 4. So we have already completed 3 classes in learning core Java, and I see many students doing good preparation and practicing all programs that we have been discussing in the classes. Keep doing that. It would give you more confidence. So as a continuation to whatever we have learned in our previous classes, let's take today's class topic. So as every day, let's try to write our agenda and try to finish whatever we thought of finishing as part of our agenda that we write before the class starts. Okay, so we'll be learning about majorly two topics today. So those are Java data types. This is one, and the next one, the next one is Java variables. Okay, there are two things. One is Java data types and the other is Java variables. By the way, whenever I say Java data types or Java variables, it means that the data types that I would be using in Java programming language. And at the same time, when I say Java variables, the variables that I would be using in Java programming language, there are a few rules that are specific to only Java. Like if you in future learn any other programming language, you will be learning about data types, you will be learning about variables. These are commons, but when it is Java specific, there are a few rules. Maybe we'll not be discussing about the rules today. I would park it for the next session. But for now, let's try to get a very high level overview of what Java data types are and what Java variables are. What Java variables are. So without any delay, by the way, I want to just exactly tell you that we already have touched upon the Java data types. We already have touched upon the Java data types. I will just show you one thing. Okay, I'll just show you one thing. So what is that? If you can see here, if you can see here, this is the last program that we have written. So we have public static void main. In that, there is this args and there is a string array, right? So this is a data type. This is a data type and args, this arguments is the variable name. By the way, what is a variable? What is a data type? We will be discussing in detail in our today's class. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to actually tell you is we already have done something related to the data type, something related to the variable. But today we will be learning about a little bit more details about this. By the way, one important thing that I wanted to say is the initial classes that you're learning in Java, right? Be it data types, loops, or some other things, classes, interfaces, etc. All these things are very, very important for your foundation in Java. If you are very clear in these topics, by the way, many students, even after having so much of experience, even after learning Java for so long, they tend to not have full clarity on these kind of topics. But I'm making my 100% effort to make sure that I deliver only things that are absolutely necessary, because there are so many other things. If you learn, you'll get confused. You should be very rock solid on the foundation, which is the class that we are learning today and maybe the upcoming classes as well. So with full attention, please follow whatever I teach for today. Okay, so here we go. What are Java data types? What are Java data types? There are various Java data types. I will just write a few over here, or maybe I'll write all over here. So what is that? What is that? I will say, I will say, I will say, I will say, we have majorly, like maybe I will try to write it down something like this. Say 1 byte, byte, or maybe let me put it in this way. I just want to give 2 tabs. Okay. One is byte, byte, and second is short. Third one that we have already learned yesterday is int, The fourth one is long. The fifth one is float. Sixth one is double. The seventh one is Boolean. This also we have learned yesterday. This is Boolean. And the last is character. So by the way, we have learned or we have already written code related to these data types already, but I did not actually tell you the word called data type till now. So that is why you can relate as we write the programs for today. But for now, you remember that there are this 8 data types. There is one more classification. There is one more classification. All these 8 data types are called as, there is a name for it. They are called as primitive data types. Okay, so we call all these data types as primitive data types, as primitive data types, as primitive data types. There are a few other data types that we call an opposite to primitive data types. We call them as non-primitive data types. Okay, these are called as non-primitive data types. What are the examples? What are the examples? Examples are something like this: string, array list, hash map, or if I write any data type of my own, maybe I can say employee, student. So all these are non-primitive data types. Non-primitive data types are derived from primitive data types. Okay, so if you take any string, or if you take employee, if you take student, if you take hash map, if you take array list, there are internally the primitive data types. By the way, if you are not even understanding anything, or if everything is going out of your head, that is fine. This is a very, very simple concept. This is a very, very simple concept. I am telling this to you right now so that you will have a bigger picture. And as we write the code, you will know, okay, fine. If I learn about all these things, then I'm done with this topic. So that is the reason why I'm writing all the subheadings before I start anything. Okay. Then, then comes the Java variables. Then come the Java variables. But before I write or tell you about anything in Java variables, let me do something like this. Let me do something like this. So, like for example, you have water. You have water. Okay. Now we have water. If you can store water in a glass, right? Generally, we do not even calculate what is the volume of the glass or how many liters of water can go into this glass, etc., etc. It is just like a common thing. You just take some water and drink. That's it. Like if you buy some water bottle, okay, let's say 1 liter water bottle of a Bisleri is costing you 20 rupees. Okay, so you can measure something when you buy that 20 rupees water bottle by going to some provision store. You'll be knowing, okay, this water bottle has 1 liter of water. Let's say you want to buy a bigger one, then you can ask for a bigger bottle. The point is water bottle is nothing but a variable. Why is water bottle a variable? Why is water bottle a variable? I'll say uh water bottle example. Okay, so I'll just say Java variable is nothing but it is something related to, or it acts something like a water bottle. So when I say water bottle, what is the water bottle storing? It is storing water. So similarly, Java has a variable. It stores some value, and actually we would be referencing that. We would be referencing that. Okay. So variable acts as, maybe let me write the actual definition. Actual definition. Variable acts as storage to actual values. So variable acts as a storage to actual values. So actually we have water, we put that in the water bottle. Similarly, we have data types. We have some data related to data types: byte, short, int, long, float, double, boolean, character. So we have all these data types. We have all these data types, and actually these data types are stored in the variable, So that is why there is a very big interrelation between the data type and a Java variable So before I write few more details about the Java variables, I want to straight away jump to the code so that you can actually correlate the things slowly. Okay. So let me right away go to my Notepad++. We already know that we use Notepad++ for our day-to-day programming. So what is the thing? I want to create a new class. I want to create a new class. I want to create a new class as a language, Java. Okay. I want to call this class as, variable one. Variable one. Okay. This is my class. Let me open the parenthesis, close the parenthesis. And by the way, we have to write a main method, public static void main. Okay. As a string array of arguments. String array of arguments. And I open the parenthesis and I close the parenthesis. We are very good till now because this is a common code. Okay. This is the common code. Now I want to do something like this. So I learned about the data type, right? I learned about the data type. Like for example, I want to deal only about the first one, which is let's say byte. Okay. So which is let's say byte. Now I want to do something like this. Byte, byte B, byte B, byte B. So what I'm saying is there is something called byte, and that byte is being stored in a variable. Okay, it is getting stored somewhere, but it is being referenced by B. Actually, there are few other things which I'll be explaining you even in better details with a diagram. But for now, you just think that there is some value called byte, and that is getting stored in this variable called B. So here I will write B is a variable. B is a variable of type byte. Okay. B is a variable of type. When I say type of data type B. Now, what I want to do is I want to store some value. I told you that, right? I'll say B equal to, let's say 10. Okay. I want to take a value called 10. I want to take a value called 10, which is very good till now. Now, let me do something like this. I want to print system.out.print ln. So I want to print this. I want to print this. So what is that? I want to print B. Whatever I stored in my byte, I want to print. I would like to check if this works or not. So let me quickly copy the class name. I have copied the class name. So what do I need to do? Let me go to my Mercy 2025. My Mercy 2025. Mercy 2025. Let me go to my desktop. Okay. So here is the place that we are actually storing all these things, right? So I will say CMD. So when I say CMD, I would be having a command prompt. This I think we have already discussed in our previous classes. Okay. So since we have already discussed all these in our previous classes, I'm not repeating this. Now, how do we compile the Java code? Java C class name dot Java, right? When I copy or when I, oh, what is this? A variable one dot Java. By the way, we did not even save our class name. So that is why I'll say file save as, I'll say variable one dot Java. So now we are able to save this. Okay. Let me try to do the same thing again. Java C variable one dot Java. When I do this, now I don't have any problem. There should be a dot class file that will get generated. I would like to cross check that. So you can see this date modified. I'm sorting it Okay, by the way, this is not the one. Mercy 2025. So yeah, variable one, you can see 7:57. This is the time on which the dot class file got generated. So how do I run this? I'll say Java and then variable one. When I say enter, so I will be having the value called 10. I'll be having the value called 10. So which means whatever I have written over here, I have taken B as a variable that is storing data of type byte. Okay. I'm taking one value called byte and I'm printing this. And I'm printing this. And I'm printing this. By the way, what I want to do is I want to write one more program which involves variables, almost all the variables in data types. Then I want to give you a little bit more theory so that you would be uh, you'd be well versed of whatever I am trying to teach as part of our today's class. Let me quickly create one more Java class. One more Java class. I have created a new file. I'll say language J Java. Now I want to call the class as class variable 2. Okay. I'm calling the class as variable 2. I opened the curly brace, closed the curly brace. So here I go. I'll say public static void main, and then I will say string array of arguments. Okay. And then I open the parenthesis, close the parenthesis. So here, what I want to do is I want to print a few whole numbers. I want to print a few whole numbers. What are whole numbers, by the way? Whole numbers are the numbers which 0 to, I don't know exactly the range. Those start from 0, by the way. Okay. So I just want to print a few whole numbers and they do not have the decimal point. They do not have the decimal point. So what I want to do is I want to do something like this. Byte B. Okay. Byte B. I'll say B equal to 10. So here, if you remember, our previous code was we have taken a variable, we declared a variable, and we are assigning some value to it. We are taking two lines, line number 4 and line number 5. We are doing the same thing over here. Line number 5 and line number 6, we have taken a byte B, and like let's say, for example, I want to put it as 100. That's fine. Okay. Now I want to store it something like this. Now there are two lines, right? We can do the same using one line also. Using one line also. Let's try to experiment that with our next variable, which is short. Let me go to short. Okay. I'll say short s equal to, let's say 200. Okay, let's say 300. Fine. Short s is equal to 300. I want to print system dot out dot println. I want to print. So by the way, yesterday, if you see, we are able to club, or we are able to print two different literals using two different literals. We can add a variable and we can use a literal also. I'll be doing something like this. B equal to plus B. We have seen this in our yesterday's class. Now I want to print the short also. So let me copy this. And I want to print s equal to, and then s. So I have taken one byte. This is one way of declaration. This is declaring variable. Okay. And then is assigning variable. And this line is doing line 4 and 5 in single line. Or maybe I'll say single line declaration assign. Okay. In a single line only, we are declaring and we are assigning also. Okay. So I'm doing something like this. I want to save this as variable 2. I'm copying the class name. I'll just say file, save as, and in the save as, I want to do .java. Okay, now we have variable2.java that got saved. I want to clear the screen. CLS is the command. I'll say Java C variable2.java. Yes, we don't have any problem. Now I'll say Java variable2. When I do this, now we can see byte B is equal to 100, S is equal to 300, S is equal to 300. So we have done something like this. So we have a byte and we have a short. There might be a few questions. There might be a few questions that are coming into your mind. Sir, sir, now we have a byte and we have a short. We are doing almost the same thing. Why do we need a byte and a short? I'll be answering this question as we proceed further. As we proceed further. But for now, in this program only, what I want to do is I want to play around with almost all the data types. I'll take int, for example. I'll take int. I'll just say int I equal to, let's say, 1000. Okay. So I have int and I'll say long L equal to, let's say, 2500. Okay. So I have a long and I call it as 2500, which is also fine. Long L. Okay. Till now, all these are the whole numbers, right? All these are the whole numbers. All these are the whole numbers. So what I want to do is I want to print these two as well. So I have copied and I want to print I equal to and then I and then long L equal to L. Okay. So we have long. Now we have byte, short, int, long. Byte, short, int, long. Let me print all these things. I want to clear my console, CLS. So I'll say Java C. Sorry. Okay. So let me come here. I want to copy my class name, which is variable2. I copied. And here I'll say Java C class name dot Java. When I do this, I'm able to compile Java and then class name. This is the command to run this. Now we can see byte is getting printed, short is getting printed, int is getting printed, and long is getting printed. So which means we are able to play around. We are able to play around with all these whole numbers. Okay. Now I want to, as I told you, I do not want to create one more class to demonstrate a few other things. I would like to play around with all these variables. Till now we have done till here. Now we have a float and double and we have Boolean and character. I want to take these also into consideration and then I'd be coming back to more theory of why do we need this many data types? Why do we need this many data types? So now, as I told you yesterday, I want to print a few decimal numbers, let's say decimal numbers. I want to print a few decimal numbers, by the way. And what are those decimal numbers? I'll say float f equal to float f is equal to 10.5 f. Let's say, okay, 10.5 f. This is float f is equal to 10.5 f. Now I'll say double d equal to, let's say, 20.65. I do not even need to write anything over here. By default, it will be D, but I want to add D for this one. So when I end a number with F, it is a floating number. And when I end a number with D, it is a double number. So let me print these two also. Let me print these two also. Let me print these two also. I want to remove this extra system.out.println. I just copied. I want to print my floating point number. And here I want to print my double number. D equal to D. Okay. So here, these are the decimal numbers. These are the decimal numbers. Now I want to save this one. I want to save this one. I want to run this once more. I'll say, okay, Java C. Did I copy the class name? Let me do that. I copy the class name variable2.java. So I'm able to copy this. I'm able to compile this. Now I'll say Java run. So when I run this, you can see byte, short, int, long are printed and float and double are printed. So these are decimal numbers, the same comment that I have written. So these are first are whole numbers and then come the decimal numbers. So in our agenda, we have taken till float and double till now. We have just two more that are left. We have just two more that are left. Yesterday, we have seen Boolean is nothing but true or false. Character is nothing but any single character that is present in a single code. Let's try to do the same thing in the same program. In the same program. So what I want to do is, I want to do something like this. I want to now print, I want to now print Boolean. Boolean. Okay, Boolean. So I'll say Boolean, Boolean, bool. So by the way, we already have this variable called b. So that is why we cannot have the same variable again. So that is why I'm naming it as Boolean bool. I will just say true, true, and I want to print system.out.println, system.out.println. I will say bool equal to, and I will say bool. Okay, so this is the boolean. Okay, I want to print this. Now one last thing, this character, right? I'll say char, I'll say char again. I'll say char c equal to, let's say I want to call it as a. Okay, so this is present in single quote and it is a single character. Again, I want to print system.out.println. I want to print the character. I'll say c. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, I would like to say C. Now we have added two more. Previously, our output was byte, short, int, long, float, and double. Now we have added two more, which is for Boolean and character. Let's quickly compile this. I'll say Java C. I'll say Java C. Let me copy the class name. Let me copy the class name, variable to copy, and then I'll say dot Java. When I do this, I don't have any compilation error. Now Java and then class name. When I say enter, now you can see we are taking byte, short, int, long, float, double. Wait, did we print this? Ah, I did not even save this. Sorry. This is a red color, by the way. So what I want to do is I'll say Control S, which is saved. Now I want to compile this once more. I'll say Java C variable2 dot Java. So it compiles it again. I'll say Java variable name. So when I say enter, now we have byte, short, int, long, float, double, boolean, and character. So by the way, to our surprise, there are so many big or there are all these derived data types. There are all these derived data types which we are able to learn using a single program. And this is not very hard topic, by the way. This is not a very hard topic, by the way. This is very simple, very simple topic. But as I told you, your foundation should be very good. And only when you have a good foundation, you would be able to write all these things in a what do you call in a proper way. Because a good programmer will be determined on how well he's able to do or how well he's able to select his data types and how well he's able to uh, write them or use them in his code. Why? I'll be telling you in a few more minutes. So I'll say int, generally we use this always in place of byte and short generally. So whenever we have to use byte or short, we tend to not use these two, but we generally use int only in most of the cases. In most of the cases. So I'd like to open a small presentation. By the way, discussion about the non-primitive data types, I'll be parking it for the further classes because we'll be learning about classes, interfaces, constructors, and all these things. And at that time, you'd be knowing about more in details of this primitive data types. But for now, you remember this primitive data types are the ones that are derived from. By the way, non-primitive data types are the one that are derived from the primitive data types. Primitive data types. Now, I want to add, or I want to just give you one small note point. Okay, note point. So we are able to do two things, right? We are able to do two things. I'd like to open that one. I'd like to open that one. So I'll say, yeah, yes, I want to copy this into the notes. I want to copy this into the notes. So what is this, by the way? What is this, by the way? This is nothing but declaring the values and then single line uh, declare and assign. So we have declaring and assigning, or we are able to do the same thing in a single line, in a single line, in a single line. So I want to give you the syntax for the same. So I want to give you the syntax for the same. By the way, we need not even break our head because we are deriving syntax by the example that we have already learned. What is the syntax? What is the syntax? It is data type, data type, data type, space, variable name, variable name, variable name. So this is called as declaration. This is called as declaration. This is called as declaration. Example, example, byte p. Example, byte p. This is a example. So this is a example. This is one syntax, and the other syntax that you should be aware of is the other syntax that you should be aware of is what is that? Data type, and then variable name underscore name equal to equal to equal to we are having some value, right? I'll just say value. We'll be having some value. We will be having some value. So this again, I'm calling it as initialization. This is called as initialization. And example is this one. Students who are speaking, kindly go on mute. Okay, so this is short s is equal to 300. This is one more syntax that we have to be aware of. So I think we are good, even though the number of topics or the number of lines that we are trying to or intending to learn in today's class is more. We are able to deduce all those things using this single class. Now I want to quickly go to some presentation that I have prepared. Give me a second. Let me start a presentation for you. Okay. This is a small presentation that I have prepared. Now, whatever we have learned till now is the same thing that we'll be learning in a kind of diagrammatic manner. Okay. Generally, when you see the diagram for the first time, you'd get carried away. But I wanted to do it in the reverse way. I want to teach you first so that you can correlate and then understand this diagram even better. Let me come here. So these are the data types in Java. These are the data types in Java. This is a tree structure. This is a tree structure. Okay. Concentrate on whatever I'm actually teaching you. These are the data types in Java. Majorly, there are two classifications: primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Primitive data types and non-primitive data types that I have already discussed. In primitive data types, we have numeric type and a non-numeric type. Non-numeric type is the Boolean and character that we have already printed in our code. In the numeric type, we have integer and we have floating point, which is nothing but the decimal point. And in the integer, we have byte, short, int, long. And the floating point, we have float and double. We have float and double. And in the non-primitive data types, we have string, array, hash map, All these things which I told you will be learning as we grow further. Okay, this is a tree structure that you have to remember a lot, because this is the one that is asked mostly in the interviews for the fresher level. Okay, not for more experienced people, but in the fresher level, interviewer might ask you, can you explain me the data types in Java? If you, instead of just writing or telling him, this is what I know, if you can take a pen and paper, if you can write this very fast, like let's say in a minute, and then show him that these are the things that are present, these are the data types in Java. And if you want me to explain anything, I will write a small program and I can explain it to you. If you tell that, then that confidence only will achieve a lot of marks for you in the interview. Okay, in the interview. Remember this chart, don't get carried away. Just go through the program that we have already written. It is a very, very simple thing, but you remember, try to remember all this in a pictorial representation. Okay, like this. Now, there is a question that you might be asking. There is a question that you might be asking. What is that question? The question is, sir, as part of our, give me a second. Okay, sir, as part of our program, we have taken a byte b, which is understandable, and then short, int, long, and then a double, float, boolean, character, and all these things. By the way, we are almost saving 100, 300,000, 2,500, 10.5, like 20.65, all these things. Sir, why can't we use long? Okay, instead of learning about all these byte, short, int, why are we learning this many data types? And you said there is a float and a double, and both are almost saving the similar values. Why are we having one more called double, or why are we having two? One is float, one is double. What is the reason behind it? And this is fine. This is straightforward, true or false. There is no problem. And if we are storing some character, why Java everything uniform? Why is it giving tough time to students? Because we have to learn and remember so many things. Why is all this, sir? I'll tell you the reason or the reasoning behind why Java has decided to have this many data types. This many data types. Okay, so let me go here. Let me go here. Let me go here. I want to just open it. I want to just open it. Now, remember, remember that it is all about the size. It is all about the size. You think like this. Let's say you want to buy a 1 liter water bottle, which costs you 20 rupees. Okay. You want to buy a 1 liter water bottle, which costs you 20 rupees. So Bisleri as a company will create a water bottle that can withstand the water of 1 liter, okay, which is 1000 ml. But let's say you want to buy a 1 liter water, but fine, Bisleri starts giving that to you in a 25-liter big can. Just think that Bisleri is started selling you that 1 liter bottle in 1 liter water in a 25-liter big can, right? If that happens, you'll think how foolish Bisleri company is, because it only needs to create a container that can withstand only 1000 ml of water, which is 1 liter. But these foolish people are putting that 1 liter in a 25-liter big can and they are selling. It is a loss to those people, right? That is just a normal analogy that happens in our day-to-day life. Similarly, in Java programming, if you have a small value, you can use a smaller data type. And if you have a big value, then you can use a bigger data type. By the way, we can store very small value in the bigger data type also. Java doesn't complain anything. Java will say, okay, fine, I'll do it. But it is foolish for a programmer to use what you call to use long for a very small value. Like for example, I want to store a value called 10, right? It would make sense to put that 10 in this byte. Let's say I want to save some value of 30,000, 40,000. Maybe I can put it in short. And integer also there is a range, long also there is a range. Okay, the point is, if you know these ranges, you can choose the proper data type, and you can avoid the unnecessary usage of memory. The unnecessary usage of memory. But these are all internal things. If somebody asks you, why do we have this many data types? You can easily tell them it is because we do not want to unnecessarily misuse the memory. If our requirement is to store a small value, we can use a smaller data type. If our requirement is to store a big value, then we can store or we can use a bigger data type. Okay, this byte is a smaller data type and long is a bigger data type. One thing that I urge all the students is you remember all these things till double in this sequence. Even in sleep, when somebody asks you, you should say byte, short, int, long, float, double. Byte, short, int, long, float, double. Byte, short, int, long, float, double. Why should you remember that in the sequence? I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Byte is less than, short is less than, int is less than, long is less than, float is less than double. Okay, so when I say less than, which means double is the one that can store the highest or maximum amount of data. That is, float is a smaller one than this, and then long is smaller one than this, int is smaller one than this, short is smaller one than this, byte is smaller one than this. The reason why I'm telling all these things to you is even like you remember or memorize the things like this. But remember, only when there is a decimal point, you can use a float and double. By the way, Boolean character, Boolean and character, these are even smaller than the byte and short. I would like to show you a table. I would like to show you a table of the range of values, but I suggest do not even try to memorize these values because this would not be of any use. Because generally, when you are having so many or even very, very big level of experience, nobody is going to ask that to you. Okay. So I would like to just give this. Don't even try to put this into your notes, but for your enlightenment, I'm giving it to you. So Boolean is only holding one byte. Okay. Uh, Byte is the data type that has, this is only one bit. This has one byte. Short can hold 2 bytes. Int can hold 4 bytes. Long can hold 8 bytes. Float can hold 4 bytes. Double can hold 8 bytes. Character can hold 2 bytes. Okay. So you just remember, by the way, these are some ranges. When you have to store some value from -128 to 127, you can use byte. When you have to store from -32,768 to 32,767, you can use a short. And int has a so big what do you call range. By the way, long is having even bigger range. Okay, float and double. But you don't need to, or you need not to what do you call remember all this, but remember the sequence only. What is the sequence, or what is the sequence? I have already told this to you. Byte, short, int, long, float, double. Okay, you remember this sequence, and this is how you will uh, be choosing the data type. In general programming practice, we tend to not use byte and short only when you are assigned some project that is really memory intensive, or you are working on some operating system kind of a projects. You might make use of this byte and short, but in general, most of the programmers do not tend to use byte and short. They generally tend to use int and long, right? It is just a preference, okay? And there is no problem whatsoever, even if you do the same thing. Even if you do the same thing. So what we have done is we learned about these things today. Now I want to teach you a few things. I want to create one more class. Maybe we'll be creating one more or two more classes. Would be completing the class today in 5 more minutes, or like 5 to 10 minutes, and we can close. But the other two programs that I'm going to teach you are quite important because they are little bit more enhancing whatever we learned today. So I want to take a Java class. I'll say class variable 3, variable 3. So I'll just say open and close parenthesis. I would like to say public static void main. I want to say string array of args, of arguments. Okay, I'm opening the curly brace and I'm closing the curly brace. This is very good. I'm able to do all these things. I'm able to do all these things. Now, Now, now I want to do something like this. Sir, I have many integer variables. Can I what can I do? You can do something like this. X, Y, Z. Maybe you can say you can X, Y, and then I also have one more variable, sir. I call it as Z, but I want to get I don't know the value of X and Y, but I know the value of Z, which is for sure 100. Okay, which is for sure 100. And there is one more integer variable, which is M, but I don't know about that value also. You can declare something like this. You have four X, Y, Z, and M. There are four integer variables. You know the value of Z, which is 100, but you don't know the value of other three variables. So in a single line, you can do all these things. Then you can ask a question. But then what happens to X and Y, sir? What value it will be there? So it is default value of int is 0. If you don't give any value to an integer, then that becomes 0. Then that becomes 0. What I want to do is I want to print this system dot out dot println. So I want to print something like this. X equal to plus X. Okay. So let me print all the values. Let me print all the values. So there are four, sorry. Okay. There are four X. There is something called Y, and we have Z, we have Z, we have Z, and then we have M, correct? So we have M. So we have this many. We have this many. What I want to do is I want to save this copy. I'd like to say file, save as. I'd like to put it over here and say .java. So when I save this, I'm able to see there is this blue color. So I'm able to save this all properly. Let me compile this. Okay, so I'll say Java C class, sorry, Java C class name dot Java. We don't have any problem. X might not have been initialized. Okay, just fine. Even though these are called as local variables. By the way, I'll be telling you about all these rules as I grow as we go to the next classes. Here, there is one error that is coming. You have a variable called X. Okay, there are so many chances that you have not even initialized that. Even though the default value is 0, okay, compiler is saying, Karthik, you have not initialized these values. Better give some values to them now. It is saying. So let's do that. Let's do that. So I want to do something like this. X equal to, let's say I want to make it as 50. Okay. X, I want to make it as 50. And then Y, I want to, instead of making some value, I want to do something like this. X, I can give some value called 70. So instead of 70, I want to do something like this. X plus 20. This is an expression, by the way. I want to give the Y value as 70, but instead of giving 70, I have to take X value and I want to add 20 to it. Okay. Z we already have defined. I want to give M value as M equal to X plus Y plus Z. Okay, so I have three other values. X, what is X? X is 50. What is Y? X plus 20, which is 70. Okay, I like to say Z plus M. Right? Okay, so which is 70? What is Z? Z is 100 that we have already defined. That we have already defined. That we have already defined. Let's try to see. Let's try to see what are the values that we are getting right now. So here there is this red color. I want to save this one. Now this is saved. Let me compile this one. Let's say Java C class name dot Java. Do we have any compilation problem? Now we don't have anything. Now Java and then class name. Then I say enter. So you can see X equal to 50, 70. Let me take this output and to say copy. So here I go. Okay, this is our output. Output is saying x is equal to 50, x is equal to 50 because we have assigned it to be a value called 50. Now y is equal to 70. What is y is equal to 70? Because 50 plus 20, which is 70. We have z, we already have initialized that over here. And then m is equal to 220. Why is m 220? Because it is x plus y plus z. What is x? 50. 50 plus 70 is 120. 120 plus 100 is 220. So in this way, we can have different variables. We can declare them either on the single line or we can declare them on multiple lines, and we can use the previous values that are present in the variables and can play around something like this. Something like this. I want to explain this in this short program so that you would know the actual or the real value of why we need a variable, why we need a variable, why we need a variable. So in this way, we are able to learn little bit more about variables, little bit more about variables. Now I want to take one last uh, program for today, and tomorrow I would like to explain you a little bit more about variables and a few more rules related to variables. And to copy this, I say copy. Let me take a new class. I'd like to say language J Java. I'd like to say class variable 4. Okay. I'd like to take this one and I'm calling it as public static void main. Okay. I'd like to say string array of arguments. Okay. So I'd like to close. Now, this is also a very short program, but it gives a little bit other insight as well. I want to take a variable called x. It is x, int x. I want to give a value of 200. Okay. And to give a value of 200, I want to print this dot out dot print ln. So I want to print it as x equal to plus x. Okay. I want to print this one something like this and print something like this. Now let me save this one. I copy the class name, Control S, and then save .java. I'm able to save this. Let me run this one. I'll say Java C variable 4.java. When I do this, I don't have any compilation problem. Java and then variable 4. This is a straightforward program. Sir, why are you teaching this to me? I already know. You might be saying that, but there is a point that I wanted to actually add. There is a point that I wanted to actually add. What is that? Till now, the value is 200. Okay, the value is 200. Now, I've changed my mind. I changed my mind. I want to make x as 400. X as 400. X as 400. Sir, okay, I changed my mind. I wanted to make 200 as 400. Let's see what happens. I want to print. I want to print the value of x just once more. I want to print the value of x just once more. I saved this program. I came here. I'll say Java C variable 4. Sorry. This variable 4.java. So when I do this, I don't have any problem. I'll say Java variable 4. When you see the value of x is initially 200 and the value of x is 400 later on. Why? Because initially I thought x is 200. Later on, let's say you have a very big class. Let's say you have a class of 500 lines of code. Somewhere in your method, somewhere in your code, you have decided to change the value of x as 400, or because of your logic, the x has become 400. Point that I wanted to highlight over here is variables can be assigned with a particular value. Variables can change their values as you go further in the program. Okay. There are a few rules related to variables. There are a few rules related to the assignments. There are a few other things that you have to learn about variables, which I will be taking as part of our tomorrow's class. Give me a second.